Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us. K&A Custom Crafts on Facebook.
And welcome this beautiful Sunday morning to the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network for our daily or weekend show, Morning Tailgate. I am joined today by my guy, like I always am, Mr. Chris P. Bacon. How you doing today, bud?
Doing good. How's everybody doing this morning?
All right. Then we're also joined today by our partners in crime from MI6. We got John Elkhorn. How you doing, bud?
We're good, man, and guarantee. I had to wait to see Tom Brady play till he played for the Bucks, but it was so good to see him play. You can tell, it's just you can say preseason, but they literally had all the number one guys out there, and man, just to see him play and how smart he is was definitely pretty cool.
I think one of the few teams that have starters out.
Yeah, I was going to say it seems like this year was hit or miss on who was going to play. Typically, we know the starters would play the first game, sit the second game, maybe the third game, and then half of the fourth game. But it seemed like each team was playing differently.
They played the first quarter, and then a minute or two in the second. And then they let in Blaine Gabbert, and then they put in their second round pick in Kyle Trask.
Okay. All right. So with that being said, Chris, how does your team look after the preseason?
We got one more game this afternoon. I think they're looking good right now. It's between Cooper Rush and Garrett Gilbert on backup quarterback. I think one's playing one. I think Gilbert's playing the first half. Rush is playing the second.
Okay, John. So, John, what team you pull for the NFL, and how do they look this year?
It is just preseason. The Broncos finished off with the win against the Chargers. They look good. Teddy looks good, and that to me is exciting. Now I'm hoping he can stay 100% healthy. Corn's son looks 100% from ACL tears usually take more than a year to recover. He looks good. I was really looking at the numbers here for the Broncos in terms of the passing yards. Man, he played pretty well, and so I'm hoping they can establish that. Week 1, he got the Giants, so that should be an easy Week 1 win.
Yeah, it should be. Minnesota here looked like Minnesota. I mean, I know it's only preseason, but I hope their defense comes around. I'm not worried too much about the offense right now. I'm just more worried about the defense coming together. So I think if the defense comes together, the Vikings can put up a fighting chance. So, but moving on, had a quarterback move yesterday. Minshew goes from the Jags to Philadelphia. John, what do you think about that move?
We all tell, and I say the same analogy. Because Big B, you have kids. Yep. You teach them not to lie, correct?
Yep.
So, but that's the exact opposite of what they're setting to the Eagles. Because you're saying you believe in Hurts. He's our guy. You say, oh, you only traded a 6th-round pick. Well, it's not like Gardner Minshew was having a Blaine Gabbert type of game. It's not like Gardner Minshew was like Nathan Peterman. He's put up really good numbers. He had a great year his first year in the league, 6th-round pick. The 6th-round pick were undrafted. So it just shows that, obviously, to say that there was a quarterback battle in Jacksonville was absolutely stupid. I'm glad to see Trevor Lawrence play Week 1, but I mean, the Eagles are lying to their fans. I mean, from the organization to Javi Rozelle. I mean, this team is in disaster the past couple of years. They've been trying to shop Alshon Jeffrey since the 2019 offseason. Then you got Jalen Hurts, who's the number one receiver, who's going to be consistent running back. But they're lying to their fans. They're lying to the organization. They're lying to everybody out there. Because you're saying that Jalen Hurts is better than Gardner Minshew. No, Gardner Minshew is definitely, if he had a quarterback battle, Gardner Minshew would definitely beat him out.
Yeah, he's very talented.
Mm-hmm. So that being said, I mean, I think Minshew probably, I mean, it might be too early to say he'll start Week 1, but he'll probably get some playing time Week 1. And John, you nailed it. I mean, the Eagle fans are definitely lying to everybody. because you had Wentz, you draft Hurts, you trade Wentz because you said Hurts is the guy. Now you go to get Minshew, which I mean, Jacksonville's. I mean, right now they're all in on Lawrence, and if he does bad, they don't have a backup right now. So I mean,
They're basically putting all their chips or putting all their eggs in one basket.
oh yeah, they
Because
definitely.
that always recipe for success.
Yep, exactly.
I mean, look at it last year though. Gardner Minshew had 16 touchdowns and 15 picks, so he was still tied for least amount of almost intercept. Yeah, I know he didn't start the whole year, but he threw almost 2,300 yards. So this guy's definitely respectable.
No, and I mean, Philly's kind of doing what Miami did last year. They got the young guy, and then they got the veteran to come in and kind of close it out if the game's close, and he struggled a little bit. So it may work out, it may not, but John, I think he nailed it. They're lying to their fans, so we'll see where it goes.
Put him on the Steve Wilkos show. What is that one show that the lie detector determined that was a lie, and that's what they need to do with Harry Russell and the Philadelphia Eagles right now because they're lying. Yeah, I forgot the one that says you are not the father of that show right there.
Yeah, Maury.
Yeah, Maury.
So another quarterback news, kind of firing up again, is Houston Texans and Watson, in Miami. John, what do you think? Could Miami pull off this trade, and should they?
I will say it from the Miami side. Texans side will leave that alone. Miami, are they really sold on Tua Tagovailoa? I always butcher his last name.
Yeah, we all do.
He's not a good quarterback. And the worst free agent decision this offseason was letting Ryan Fitzpatrick go. Yeah, he's not the starter, but bringing him in, he have a better chance of winning a couple of games than you do Tua, who you can say, oh, you're just being biased because he's left. No, left-handed, which means that throws off your throwing motion, that throws your pocket awareness, and that totally destroys it. Especially you're in a division with New England. You're in a division with the Bills, who are going to win the division and go to the Super Bowl. And you're in the division that drafted a quarterback in Zach Wilson. No, when I take Zach Wilson over Tua any day. But if Tua wasn't from Alabama, would we be talking about him being a starting franchise quarterback? Probably not. So it's not necessarily because of him. It's because of the school that he went to. And so, I mean, Miami, they're not sold on Tua. And just like you said, both of them need to go on the Maury show. And because you're going to fail the lie detector test because there's absolutely no way that you are sold on Tua.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing going right now for Tua is they got one of his receivers from Alabama, so maybe it might click. But if Miami, John, like you said, if Miami's trying to shop for another quarterback, they're not 100% sold on Tua. So, Chris, what do you think?
I don't know if they're. I kind of agree. I don't know if they're really sold on Tua. I know he started his career with an injury, when he was in Alabama, and it kind of carried over to the NFL. Maybe it had something to do with that injury. I don't know. I mean, in last year, was a COVID year, and you didn't really have all of the practice time you would have in a normal year. So, I mean, there's a lot of things to look at, but I mean, at this point, I don't see him as an NFL quarterback. You did release or trade away, like a closer in a quarterback as Fitzpatrick, and he won you a lot of games. He nearly brought you to the playoffs. I don't think that was a good idea, getting rid of him.
I think letting Fitzpatrick walk was a mistake. I think he was doing good there. I don't know why they switched to Tua last year. I don't know if there was an injury or if they just wanted to see if the kid could play. But
I mean, when you draft him in the first round, even guys I talked to in the league, like Rob Parker and others, are like, yeah, this guy is not the quarterback. So, and plus you draft him that high. How is it going to look? It's a lose-lose situation. You draft him, he's not very good, regardless of, I guess, COVID or not. You can just tell certain guys just aren't quarterback. You draft him high with Justin Herbert, who won Rookie of the Year. You drafted other guys in that same draft, so it just doesn't look good for the Dolphins right now.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things everybody thinks they're draft gurus and think they know where everybody's going, but if you don't get into the right system, I don't think it could help. I mean, look at Tom Brady. John, you brought it up before we got on the air. I mean, Tom Brady almost went undrafted. What, sixth round to New England?
He was almost Mr.
Seventh
Irrelevant.
round.
Yeah,
He was
exactly.
seventh.
So, okay, seventh round. So, if Bledsoe doesn't go down with the injury, we might not even know who Tom Brady is. I mean, he barely started in Michigan, so
He may have been traded to another team, and
Yeah.
who knows? Because I mean, he kind of showed. I'm not saying he would have won 7 rings, but you
yeah,
kind of saw it early on at Michigan, where he had the ability to become
yeah,
a quarterback. It just may not have been the Brady we know today.
yeah, exactly. And then you got Herbert last year. If he didn't get an injury, we weren't going to see him. And record books are changing. So, but some quarterback spots have filled up. We know that, of course, Lawrence will be the quarterback in Jacksonville. I don't think anybody did not see that coming. Teddy Bridgewater is going to be the quarterback for the Broncos. Elkhorn, I know you're a Bronco fan. Was that the smart move for them?
This is just a bridge year for the Broncos quarterbacks. I would assume the Broncos would be smart enough to go after Aaron Rodgers next year, especially since you're not looking at the long-term solution at the quarterback. You could have gotten Justin Fields. I know it's his preseason, but we see how his arm is. We see how his mobility is. You didn't draft him. So clearly, Teddy Bridgewater is the guy now. I'm glad. Drew Lock, bye-bye. I don't want you with my Broncos. But I mean, I'm glad for Teddy. I'm just hoping he can really stay healthy, though. But I mean, this team does look promising, but I think it's definitely a bridge year for the quarterbacks because you're gonna have to look at next year. There's definitely a chance you could get Rodgers on the market. You have, I guess, the picks and or the money. Why not do it and just kind of see play? Aaron Rodgers would definitely put us in contention at the division with the Chiefs if we do get him.
That is if Rodgers doesn't retire.
Well, don't spread that negativity here. No, we don't use those words here on air. That's negative. We don't spread negativity.
But
here.
you have to. It's not negativity. You have to think about it, though.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. La 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 la. Obviously, it's a possibility. Yes, I would assume Elway would have to do that because there's no way you're going to give Bridgewater a 4 or 5 year extension. There's no way you're going to sign Drew Lock to a long term deal because he's a second, third round pick in 2018. So you either have Aaron Rodgers as an option or you lock up Teddy Bridgewater for 2 or 3 years. And that's kind of unfortunate because Son's going to have to get paid soon. So hopefully they get Rodgers. If not, Elway, I'm going to have to sign an arrest warrant for John Elway to be arrested for fraud because he's pretending to be the owner of the Broncos.
I'm pretty sure they'll sign Bridgewater if Rodgers does what he did this year. Next year, they would have to sign Bridgewater because they just don't want to wait.
Is John Elway trying to win right now, or are you trying to try to wait 4 or 5, 6, 7 years?
But Elway's not the owner now. I mean, I know he's still in the office.
He still has final say. I think it was.
Okay.
I think he stepped down, but I think he still has final say or something like that.
He has final say, but if there's no long-term solution where Bridgewater or Locke can compete with Patrick Mahomes. You want to wait 4 to 5 years and maybe get a quarterback in the draft where the Chiefs are going to continue to get to Super Bowls. Tom Brady continue to get the Super Bowls. The Chargers have their quarterback. The Raiders are most likely looking for a new quarterback in a year or two. We don't, right. And then you have Melvin Gordon. You're going to pay him, a rookie quarterback or running back. You can pay him in a couple of years. What do you do with Noah Fant? And so that's where you kind of have to pick the timeline and figure out when do you pay your players. You pay what is our team. Just have to look at it from a financial standpoint.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually thought Packers and Broncos were going to come to some kind of agreement this year before they signed Bridgewater.
I did too. Believe me, I was all for it, man. You should have saw me getting all excited about it, but
I was even getting excited. It's like, whoa.
Well, at one time there was talk that each NFL North team was going to have a new quarterback by draft. So there was talk that the Vikings were in talks with the Niners to swap quarterbacks or send Cousins out there, and then Garoppolo go back to New England, and then
Yeah.
So I mean, I didn't think the Vikings were going to move on him. I wish they would have, but and then the Rodgers story saga, Brett Favre 2.0 as I call it. So I don't think he'll end up in Minnesota because Minnesota ain't that lucky twice in a row. So, and then the other big quarterback that got spot got settled was Winston is going to be the starter in this New Orleans. Chris, what do you think about that move?
I think we all saw it coming. If not, it would have been trying to think of his name.
Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was either going to be one of those two. If it was going to be Taysom Hill, it was because of Sean Payton, who believed that he was going to be the heir apparent, to Drew Brees, which we all know now he's not. It's going to be Winston. I mean, on paper, yeah, it's a good move because he's had NFL experience, and I know Hill has too. But Winston has a little more with Tampa Bay, so I mean, but looking at him, I don't think it's a right choice though. Neither of them are a right choice. So,
what do you think, John?
I don't know if it's necessarily the right choice. It's really the cheaper option because you paid Taysom Hill that empty calorie contract, so you go with him. His contract means nothing against the cap. There is no delusional NFL fan that would truly think, "Oh, let me call up somebody. Oh my God,
hold on, John.
He's a less exciting Lamar Jackson, but injury prone. There's no way anybody. Not guaranteed. I think Winston could be good. Who knows? LASIK eye surgery, maybe because he has an arm. Nobody's questioning that now. If he fixes, let's say, half his turnovers, they could be in contention. Now, obviously, you're in the same division as Brady, so you're not going to win that division. You don't know if you're even going to make the playoffs because the offense was centered around Drew Brees. Now, this shouldn't have been a question the whole time. This is just a create clicks, create views, create stories, create content. That's fine. But there's no true fan knows their football to think, hey, Taysom Hill's going to be the guy. I mean, he's had how many ACL tears in college and been injured in the NFL. There's nothing wrong with being a gadget player. Be the player that you're meant to be. But he's not a quarterback. We shouldn't be having this conversation every single year. But apparently, I have to teach a couple of people about this. Not you, but just other people.
Well, we know, you said there's no delusional NFL fan that probably would take Hill as their quarterback, but John, I know we know one guy that probably would. And
he also did joke winning MVP last year, and he also picked a certain quarterback. But hey, it's okay. At least I'm not Randy and picked Tua as my starting quarterback, so we're good.
Yeah, exactly. So, I have not heard if New England settled on their quarterback yet.
I think it's going to come down to today.
Today? Okay. I think it's going to be Jones, but some people think it's going to be Cam Newton, so it sounds like it's 50-50. What do you guys think? John, we'll go with you first.
It's probably the typical small break hand, unless somehow he's injured and literally can't throw the football. Because it's you can say, how do you tailor the offense, blah, blah, blah. Let the veteran quarterback get abused in terms of getting sacked, getting hurt, getting sacked time and time again. A lot of times that's how a young rookie quarterback learns. Sometimes they learn a lot more off the field than they do on the field because you only see a certain perspective on the field as a quarterback. You're bringing Cam. This is not just about necessarily of when Mac Jones will win the starting job. It's also how that affects Cam Newton's career moving forward outside of New England because he's probably not coming back in year 3 in 2022. So if he plays well for a couple games, how does that impact his free agency in 2022? So you got to have to look at it from long-term starting. But, who knows what's going to happen. But it's about Cam Newton. This could be his last chance to start in the NFL, or could he be the rest of career backup? Not a bust, but not great, not exciting. But who knows? But, we'll see what happens. But if this is Bill Belichick's chance, and we'll see what he can do.
Yep. Chris, what do you think?
I feel like it's going to be Jones. Yeah, he's a rookie, but I don't see much in Cam Newton either. He was good for many years, when he was in Carolina, then a couple injuries happened, and then his career just went downhill. But you don't know what you got with Mac Jones either, so I think you go with Mac Jones.
Yeah, and Tim's chiming in that he thinks it's going to go Matt Jones. So
Yeah.
it's not like the olden days where the first round pick sat, a year or two. I mean, a lot of these picks are getting started right away. I mean,
because they don't have a veteran quarterback.
Yeah.
Like obviously
I
Cam
get what
Newton.
you're saying.
To me, I've never been like a fan of Cam Newton. He's never been great in my opinion. He's always been an inaccurate passer, been a great runner, but not a very good passer. But sometimes you just have to see what he can do because maybe seeing the mistakes of Cam Newton. Let's say if it's only 2 games, cool. And then Cam Newton made a mistake. Let me not do that. Let me do the exact opposite. Or maybe it's welcome to the NFL, rookie. But who knows?
Yeah, we'll have to see. And then the Bears. Has anybody heard anything? Is it Dalton or is it?
I thought they said.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I don't know because we've seen a lot of reports the past couple of weeks, but I thought they said Andy Dalton, but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I've heard Andy Dalton too.
Okay.
I mean, just by what they told Dalton, but I don't.
Well, that was when they signed him, and then they went and made the trade. I mean,
but I don't think I've heard like one way or another who's it going to be.
Yeah, I mean Nagy's on the hot seat, anyways. I mean, he's got to pull something out of the hat. I mean,
but it's Chicago though. Like he had a pass last year because we made the playoffs, we went 8-8. But if I'm Chicago and you have a great potential quarterback in Justin Field, you not the right guy. Tom Herman is not even a good offensive assistant, whatever you want to call him with the Bears. But it's probably going to come down to week 1. And let's say Andy Dalton doesn't start. How stupid would it look, regardless if he's good or not? You paid a guy $14.5 million just to sit on the bench, and so it just doesn't make any sense. But again, lose-lose situation for the Bears.
Yep, exactly. Lose-lose
situation. And you also, we're talking about lying a lot. You also lied to your quarterback saying, "Yeah, come here. You're gonna be the number 1 starter. We're gonna pay you a lot of money." Oh, but wait, you're gonna be on the bench.
And ain't Foles getting paid pretty decent too?
They say because he still has his contract for the next year, I think, because he got paid in 2019. So this is a 4-year contract. So I think this is his last year of his contract. So it's still pretty decent amount of money.
Yeah, so they got some money tied up there.
That sucks for the Bears, but whoever the GM is, man, oh man, you should be ashamed.
Yeah.
Hey, for those who have J.K. Dobbins on their fantasy or rooted for the Ravens, he's out for the season.
Yep, I was going to touch on that here shortly. We can jump right into it. Yeah, Dobbins gone for the season. So, where do the Ravens go from here, John?
They're kind of screwed because here's the thing: it's not completely because of Dobbins. They're bread and butter, what they're good at. Like BB has something you're good at, crispy bacon, you have something you're good at. What the Ravens are good at is running the football.
Yep.
But when one of your main running backs is out for the season, you got Lamar Jackson. Is he going to be your main runner? I mean,
you
really,
don't
this is a guy.
That, no.
Exactly. Well, that's basically what he is because he can't improve as a passer. And I understand what you're saying. Like, you're right on that. It just, I don't understand. Now the Ravens, I thought they were done before. I think they're even more screwed now. This puts more pressure on the Ravens and a little less pressure on the Browns, but they should even obviously to step up even more because like the Ravens, J.K. Dobbins is out. What is Lamar going to do? Lamar didn't have a choice before, but now he even has less of a choice. You have to be a better passer because once you abandon the pass and it doesn't work, what is Lamar going to run every single play? Who do you have as a backup? You got Sammy Watkins at receiver. You have whoever else you have left tight end that you didn't trade to the Falcons. You have Sammy Watkins, Hollywood Brown. Who else do you have on that offense? And I don't feel bad. Like if Lamar is a transcendent quarterback, which he's not. You're just trying to re-fantasize the career of Michael Vick. So stop it. Media out there for that. And yes, I like Lamar. I think he's exciting, but again, exciting doesn't get the job done. Like, oh look, a new iPhone that looks sexy, or a new that looks. That's job done. And frankly, Lamar in this offense doesn't get the job done. Now, if he improves as a passer, I will admit I'm wrong, but that's the thing is in both playoff games we've seen a divisional round. What is Lamar Jackson's automatic reaction? Usually it's you can rely on J.K. Dobbins to run, and Lamar can run occasionally, and Lamar can pass and improve as a passer. Now you don't have that. So on the fly, you're going to have to adjust your offense. So I definitely think this impact. I feel bad. I don't know if anybody I forgot who drafted J.K. Dobbins in our draft, but it's unfortunate. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So it's unfortunate, but the Ravens, they're just gonna have to. I don't know what they're gonna do. They're in deep doo doo right now.
Yeah, I was the unfortunate guy to do that, and my team was set up to where I didn't have to make it. I wouldn't have made any moves unless there was an injury, but there was an injury. So
You jinxed yourself, I think.
yeah, trust me, it's happened plenty of times. So, but I've also read the report that Todd Gurley visits them in June. Is he still a free agent, or did he?
He's still a free agent, man. And
possibly there could be a replacement right there.
Put him in
You
there. I
should
think
sign
he's
with him.
sign him on a veteran minimum deal. Like this is the thing where I said that injury in 2018, 2019, I tell people that's serious beyond just football, and people laughed at me then, and look at him now. Because they were scared if he's going to get re-injured. It didn't work with the Falcons. You had Treadwell, you had Jones, you had all these first-round picks. Sounded great on paper. It didn't work, and they missed the playoffs yet again. So I wish the best for Todd Gurley. I think he's a great running back, but why not sign him to a one-year deal? The problem is you can't rely on him like you do Dobbins because there's a chance that he's not going to get you that 1,400 yards and 14 touchdowns. But maybe when you're in the red zone, don't let Lamar run. Let him run, and then let Lamar be a passer. Who knows?
Yep. But like you said, Lamar has to improve our passing for the Ravens to keep improving. So
on the update for the Nick Foles, his cap hit this year is $6.5 million or 6.6. Next year is 10.6. He's an unrestricted free agent in 2023. So probably they'll let him play start next year, and they'll probably be mostly Andy Dalton based on the cap hit.
Ouch.
Leave it to the Bears.
Okay, I got a question. Who's going to start in Indianapolis?
Well, that was God, Chris. Are you reading my notes or something, or what?
No, I'm not. I'm just going through things. I'm just going through topics.
No, that was actually going to be my next topic here because their backup, he's out 5 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, there has been rumors that, Wentz is feeling good and might start week 1. I know Tim Hendricks, if you're still listening, what have you heard? You're a Colts fan. I know you follow the team pretty well. So he's saying Easton. Elkhorn, who's starting in the Colts?
Sam Ehlinger. No, I'm not saying
that would be cool. But
I'm not saying he's like he's not like these. Now again, if you rush Wentz back, he's gonna get injured again. So that's cool. No, all right, stick together, but you can say biased or not. But I say Sam Ehlinger is more of a gadget player because you can rely on the run. Let's see what he can do. I mean, they both played pretty well in the preseason, but we tend to kind of ignore that and put it. Oh, look at Jacob Eason played pretty well. Well, what about Sam? Now I know the history of Longhorn starting quarterbacks don't last in the NFL. We heard that since Vince Young and even before Vince Young and
I'll be right back, guys.
Getting drafted by the Browns. And so, I mean, why not give Sam Ehlinger some – I'm not saying that give him a couple games to see what happens. Maybe Jacob Eason or anything like that. But, I mean, at the end of the day, when you look at the Colts, I mean, who knows what could happen. But, I mean, why not give him at least a shot? Don't rush Carson Wentz because knowing him and him being more injury-prone than an Alzheimer's patient in a nursing home, I wouldn't rush him back.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I mean, you have Colt McCoy, who's been a backup for I don't know how long. He should have been a starter coming out of college. And
that's right. I'm sorry, I didn't know Sam Ehlinger was out 5 to 6 weeks. I forgot. So I look like a complete buffoon. So that is my bet. But yeah, it would have to be Eason. I'm sorry, but yeah, it would be Eason. I mean, there's like I love Ehlinger, but again, he's out 5 to 6 weeks. So fair enough on that one, but it would have to be Eason at that point.
there's also rumors, very thin rumors, but that Andrew Luck's eyeing a comeback.
I saw there was a photo that was released about him practicing some football. Now, if you're Andrew Luck and you're somehow eyeing it, which I don't understand because you clearly are fed up with football. If somehow this is the case, or maybe hopefully this photo's real or not, Andrew Luck come to the Broncos. If this is the case, I'm not saying this. Oh, I'm not here to create something that's not true. We're just saying maybe that Crispy Bacon was saying that there is a photo release of Andrew Luck potentially eyeing a comeback in the NFL, and that maybe he's practicing and maybe he'd want to take a couple years off.
Wow.
If somehow that is the case, Andrew Luck sign the paper. Here's a contract. Come to Denver. Deal is done.
How many years has he been retired?
2 years since before the 2019 season, because he surprisingly retired right before the regular season. So they paid Brissett for 2 years, and look how that worked.
So, guys, I gotta get going. I just got a phone call. I have to be somewhere soon. My job's getting pounded with customers and systems going down. So I'll talk to you guys later. Sorry about that, and have a good day. See you guys next week.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how long he's going to be retired, but it's going to be interesting, I think.
But why even have that photo? Like you're giving supposed fans, false hope that Andrew Luck is coming back. Blah 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 blah. No, stop with the false hope here. Is he coming back or not? Now, obviously, I don't think he is. But if somehow there's a 0.2% possibility, Andrew Luck, sign here, date here, contract is done. Coming to 1 year with the Broncos in 2022. If somehow Johnny Away doesn't get Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, you think he'd be a good fit with Denver?
I mean, with the type of quarterbacks that they've had, you had Peyton Manning, who wasn't very mobile. Andrew Luck's not that mobile either. Great pocket awareness, great pocket passing quarterback. I think it would be interesting there. You got Sutton. It wouldn't cost you that much. I know he's still under contract with the Colts, so I'm not sure how that works in the next year or two. But it would be interesting. An injury-prone veteran quarterback has experience in the division, has experience beating the Broncos. I think it'd be interesting.
Right. So the NFL had their top 100 countdown this year, and Tom Brady's number 7 ranked. I saw yesterday. You think he should have been number 7? Now this is ranked by the players.
Number 7, folks. He just won the Super Bowl. I understand, like Patrick Mahomes number 1, like that, and we'll talk about that later. But no, I think it should have been number 3 or number 4. And the only reason why you could say because of his name is because of his age. That's the only reason. Because they just won a Super Bowl with a team where, yes, a lot of people were saying, yeah, they're Super Bowl contenders, but there were some people that were doubting when they weren't playing so well. Number 7, I think, is a little bit disrespectful. I can't be that mad, but should have been top 5. It's just like you just won a Super Bowl and a new team and a new city, and with their team playing at their home stadium. But I don't agree with number 7. It should be just a little bit higher.
So here's the rest of the countdown. Number 10 is Josh Allen. Number 9 is TJ Watt. Number 8 is DeAndre Hopkins. Number 7 is Tom Brady, which we mentioned. Where's number 6? Number 6 is Devontae Adams. Number 5 is Travis Kelce. Derrick Henry is at number 4. Aaron Rodgers is at number 3. Number 2 is Aaron Darnold. And then number 1, you mentioned it, Patrick Mahomes. Is there anyone that should have been higher or lower on the list, or is that a good number, or would you re-rank them?
Now, correct me on the Andrew Luck thing. He's an unrestricted free agent next year. So, John Elway, I'm giving you free advice here without pay. But Aaron Donald, though, I think he's the closest thing to Lawrence Taylor that we've seen in a long time, especially with the quarterback-friendly league. I mean, this guy has to be single team, double team, triple team, so I can't be mad at that one. Tom Brady, though, I would have to say just a little bit higher. I understand Aaron Rodgers. He won the MVP. So, like, I don't like as much as I can be critical about the Packers. I can't be mad at that at all. Instead of put him at number 3, I think you said number 5 was who again?
I have left list on.
No problem. But this list, I mean, let's look at the top 100 overall. There's definitely the ones I'm like, wait a minute, because I don't say as by the players. I know there's some bias when it comes to that. Number 1 with Mahomes, I can't be completely mad at that. They went to back-to-back Super Bowls. You won the division for the 3rd year straight. But you didn't win the Super Bowl. So I would say number 2, like or maybe being disrespectful at number 3. But Aaron Donald, I can't be mad at number 2. He's the best defensive player in the league right now.
Number 5 is Travis Kelce from Kansas City. Should he be a little higher up or lower?
I mean, it's not because he's a tight end. He's had an amazing career. I just don't see why putting him at like number 5. I understand he puts up very great numbers. It's just the Chiefs have so many dominant offensive weapons. I don't know why he got like put at number 5, but I'm not so mad at that. They got to the Super Bowl. Him and Mahomes have a great connection, but you could also say the same thing about Mahomes and Tyreek Hill. So maybe a little bit lower, but I mean, I think this list I can't be mad. I think number 4 is who again?
Number 4, I believe. Let me see.
Number 5, you say Kelce. I can't be mad at
I think
that
TJ
one.
Watt was number 4.
That's right, TJ Watt, Pittsburgh. Now, I don't understand why Kelce would be above Tom Brady. Like, you could say whatever you want about, I understand, Chris. Like, we've all been fans of or rooting against Tom Brady, but there is no reason why Travis Kelce and the Chiefs, who lost the Super Bowl against a team that won the Super Bowl, should be 2 spots above him. But maybe there would be people that would be hating me for that. Who knows?
All right. So we're getting close to the NFL season. I think 2 weeks away. What is your game prediction or game day routine that you do or have?
This year, yeah, I try to go either with friends from like church or a youth group, and we have a bunch of food. We got wings, we got nachos, we got soda, maybe some beer or some coffee. I mean, just hang out with a bunch of friends. It's a little bit different this year. I moved to a new city, so may not have any friends yet, but may go and see some friends in Austin. Just watch some football. I'll be going to a lot more games. I'll be screaming a lot more. Be trying to distract the other team and to be a little bit more of a passionate fan, but it's a good time of year. It's their favorite sport, and thank God football is back, and I can't wait to see week 1.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting week 1 for sure. You know, with Trevor Lawrence being your number 1 quarterback in Jacksonville, and you traded away, I don't know, a good backup. I wouldn't say he's the top backup, but he's a good backup. Who do you think is going to have a bad year this year?
I would say the runner-up would be the Bengals. I mean, my goodness, you give Joe Burrow what he wants versus what he needs. You don't need Jamar Chase. You need an offensive lineman, Joe Burrow. What are you thinking? And, of course, the Bengals are just like those parents. Well, oh, no, your kid is your friend. We'll give them whatever they want versus what they need. And that's exactly what those are here. You could say whatever you want on social media to put good PR or HR. You don't care about Joe Burrow and his career. Because if you really did, you would put the offensive line around him. Now, number 2, I think the Eagles aren't going to do as well as people think. I know it's the NFC East, but Jalen Hurts is not very good. Go back to college where he played really well. It was in his last year was against teams with less than 6 wins on the season. So I'm not convinced of him. I think it's the Eagles, the Dolphins, and the last one. Man, that's going to be tough, but I'm not saying the Steelers are going to be bad, but I don't think they're going to do as well as people think. Because if this is Big Ben's last year, there's going to be a lot of pressure for them to get to the playoffs and more importantly, get to the Super Bowl.
You think this is Big Ben's last year?
I mean, he reconstructed his contract. Like, if you were committed long term, when they have signed into like a long term friendly deal, but he reconstructed a running back in the first round. I mean, I don't know, because how do you reinvent your offense for Ben Roethlisberger? Because last year, like you saw, Chris, we all watched those games. It was pass, time and time again. So now, are you going to do the same offense? Because yes, Big Ben won 2 Super Bowls. You had the failed experiment with Antonio Brown, Bill, Big Ben. Great cheer that could have been something in the NFL. Now you got Najee Harris, who's now also have a ton of good receivers. But I think it's just last year. I mean, Phillip Rivers is retired. Luck's been retired for a while. Drew Brees is retired. Our quarterbacks from our childhood, as we know it, are going to be gone pretty soon.
Yeah, it's going to be a different looking NFL, without those, big name star quarterbacks that we've seen for many years. And, Ben Roethlisberger is that only one that's still left. Eli Manning retired a few years ago of that 2004 class, really back into 2000. So
Alex Smith retired, and you really only have what Big Ben and Tom Brady left from our childhood. And our childhood as football as we know it is pretty much done.
Right. It's a new era, so to speak, with all these running, quarterbacks and, screen options and all that. Do you think New Orleans is going to be like division winners? Because I've seen predictions out there.
In Madden, yes, they will be. Because apparently Tom Brady, apparently Tom Brady had an emergency retirement from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Apparently Tom Brady doesn't play quarterback because it's like their defense is getting much. Cameron Jordan is in his early 30s now. Alvin Kamara is in his late 20s. How is he going to thrive with Winston? Is Winston going to have another ESPN special? We don't know yet until the season starts. Michael Thomas and that drama is going to hold them back. I get where they're coming from, but Sean Payton, though, I don't know if he's as good as we think he is as a head coach because it's always been around Drew Brees. Now we're going to see, is he a top head coach in the league? Or was he a guy that just relied on Drew Brees? Because there's no way, as long as Tom Brady is starting quarterback for the Bucs, not the Panthers, not the Saints, not the Falcons are going to win that division.
We're going to go through. USA Today did their yearly prediction on the NFL. So in the AFC West, they're saying, and I think most people are saying this, Chiefs are going to be the number one position in the AFC West with a 12-5 record. Chargers 11-6, 8-9 for the Broncos, and the same record goes for the Raiders. You think? I know you want Broncos at least the first position, but you think that's possible?
I mean, I think my Broncos definitely have a better defense than the Raiders. Better running back core. Josh Jacobs has come back from injury. Who knows? They sold on Carr. I mean, I think we can go 9-8, 10-7, but it's not because of the quarterback. I mean, if you just look at obviously we're not winning the division, but if you look at the defensive side of the ball for the AFC, look at the Chiefs. Right, those guys they're very inconsistent. You look at the Raiders; they took a downfall last year. The Chargers, besides Bosa, who do they really have on the? Derwin James is gone. Melvin Ingram is gone. So you lost a lot of your veteran defensive players in that division. We got Patrick Surtain, we got Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, Justin Simmons, all these guys on the defensive side of the ball. We have the best defense, at least in the AFC West, along with our young running back that we drafted with Melvin Gordon and Teddy Bridgewater just maybe doing 50% of what he did in New Orleans. I think that we can definitely do better than the Raiders. Chargers is, on the other hand, I don't know because Justin Herbert is phenomenal.
And they're giving a wild card spot to LA Chargers.
USA Today had such high hopes for it, but man, oh man, y'all made a huge mistake here. I think there was a typo. You meant to put Denver Broncos. No. That is a football sin.
But it depends on, how they did the division, matchups and all that. Like tiebreaker scenarios. So
I mean, Chargers do have their long-term answer at the quarterback, while the Broncos don't, the Raiders don't. So, I mean, I can kind of somewhat understand where they're coming from, but that's a football sin. No. We don't use those words. Chargers in playoffs? No.
Now in the AFC North, they got the Browns winning the division 13-4, and the Ravens at 11-6 with the wild card berth, 7-10 for the Steelers, and 6-11 for Joe Burrow and the Bengals.
Do you think J.K. Dobbins, Chris, being out for the season impacts the Ravens just a little bit on their season? The Browns had the best running game in the division already with J.K. Dobbins. Now that he's out, you got Najee Harris of the Steelers. How do you think that plays out for the Ravens this year in playoffs? Especially they have to get past the divisional round.
I'm surprised that, NFL reporters or analysts or whatever are still, having high hopes for Cleveland. I mean, I hope they continue their winning streak and go back to the playoffs, but it just depends on what happens this year, I guess.
I mean, I think they're in a better spot, even if they didn't win a playoff game last year, because the Steelers, I'm sorry, they're a fragile. They were a fragile team last year. I'm not sure what's going to change this year. So let's just say even the Steelers are a factor. The Ravens, again, Lamar Jackson as a passer, nah. J.K. Dobbins is out, nah. The Browns had the best running game in the division, and the difference is between the Browns, unlike the Bengals, the Ravens, and the Steelers, Baker Mayfield doesn't have to throw for over 4,000 yards and 35, 40 touchdowns. He doesn't have to do it. He can throw for like 3,800 yards, 30 touchdowns to 10 or 15, 12 picks, and they still get to the playoffs because of the running game, because of the defense, and Jadeveon Clowney. So their offense is set different than any other offense in the AFC North. But Baker Mayfield doesn't need to put up MVP numbers. Lamar Jackson absolutely has to now because J.K. Dobbins is out. The Steelers, who knows? Deontay Johnson, Claypool, Juju Smith, which one's more of a TikTok disaster? Who knows? But running game wise, defensive wise, it favors the Browns. But I still think the Ravens could make the playoffs. But I'm telling you, until the Ravens make it past the division round, I'm going to be still being critical about Lamar Jackson.
So heading to the South, AFC South, Tennessee. They're saying Tennessee is going to win the division with a 12-5 record. Colts at 9-8. Jaguars improve a little bit, 4-13, and 1-16 for Houston.
I will say for the Jaguars, losing Travis Etienne this year is going to be a big, somewhat of a blow. But at the same time, let's not freak out. James Robinson had over 1,000 yards last year and over 3 to 4 touchdowns. So let's not act like, oh, Travis Etienne is out for the year. You don't have a backup plan who was the starter this year, who put not with Gardner Minshew, and I think Mike Glennon played for a game or two. So this guy's a phenomenal running back. You still have James Robinson. Receiver position, I think, is the biggest issue. I think, Chris, we all know for the Jaguars. I think they still have Colin Johnson, but I mean, who do they really have at the receiver position? You got James Robinson, great, but I don't disagree with the 4-13. But let's not freak out like, oh my gosh, Travis Etienne is out. They still have James Robinson, who had a Pro Bowl-like year last year.
I can see that. I mean, it's going to be, a 3-team race probably, but I don't know who's going to be the 3 teams. Now,
Tennessee, sorry.
Tennessee? No, you go ahead.
Because, I mean, like, I know we keep talking about defense, but what defense, at least like what the Jaguars or the Colts, are physically dominant that can stop Derrick Henry? Derrick Henry is the best running back in the league. Should have been on the cover of Madden 22, but we know it's they to be. But I definitely think it's Tennessee. So Xavier, good luck to your Titans this year.
Now in the AFC East, they got Buffalo winning their second division title back to back, and then you got the Dolphins at 11-6, 9-8 for New England, 5-12 for the Jets. I think Bill Belichick is on the hot seat. I know a lot of people don't think that, but I do.
Whoa. They need to have, like, come on. After 1 year and having 6 Super Bowls, what?
I thought he was last year only because he doesn't I wouldn't, well, not necessarily hot seat, but he had something to prove because he didn't have Tom Brady last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a question of, was it Brady or was it Belichick who needed who the most?
For me, it's 50-50 because, again, at the end of the day, Brady needed a coach to help him elevate his talent, but vice versa. But, I mean, you definitely have a point where this is a year that Belichick has – I won't say he's on the hot seat, but they were on the same premise where he has to prove that we already know, like, his overall legacy. But, like, is he as good as he is without Tom Brady? You got Mac Jones out of Alabama. And Chris, we both are huge college football fans here, but we know Alabama quarterbacks that start in the NFL don't usually last, so he's going to have to prove it. Buffalo is going to the Super Bowl. They're winning their back division, and they're facing the Bucs in the Super Bowl. And
Are they winning the Super Bowl?
Oh, no, it's Tom Brady. No, Tom Brady's getting his 8th ring.
Poor Bills fans.
I feel bad for Bills fans because they're like, what? Oh, they would be 0-5. Like, they went to 4 straight Super Bowls. You go, I mean, it's Tom Brady. Unless you pull like an Eli Manning in like the 4th quarter, there's no way they're beating the Bucs. And they have a talented roster: Bruce Arians, Lovie Smith, all those guys. Brian Leftwich. It's Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I know it's his preseason last night, but I know why they call him the GOAT. Just so he's very quick, he's very accurate, and knows how to read the defense. And if Buffalo faced the Bucs, I'm sorry, Josh Allen. I love you as a quarterback, but I'm not rooting against Tom Brady anymore. I've learned that the hard way 4 times.
I feel bad for just on this prediction. I feel bad for New York. They just can't take get a break here. I mean, they're last year. They're predicted to be last this year. I feel bad for them in a way.
I mean, for maybe because I'm really harsh, but I don't, because you constantly pick the wrong quarterback. Supposedly Geno Smith was supposed to be the guy. Didn't work out. Christian Hackenberg as a backup didn't work out. Another guy from Baylor after RG3 left, it didn't work out. You don't put the pieces around Sam Darnold. You flip and bring in Adam Gase as head coach, who hasn't done anything in the league. It doesn't have his longest tenure is maybe 3 or 4 seasons at best, if even that. You don't put now you finally have a somewhat legit head coach, but it's the Jets. The Jets are going to find a way to lose. And you have a team in Buffalo who, no questions, a playoff team. New England could be a surprise this year. The Dolphins, they could be, depending on who's really the quarterback for the Dolphins. But I feel bad for the Jets because they've drafted, Mark Sanchez, Geno Smith, Christian Hackenberg, the guy from Baylor, Sam Darnold. This is like 6 quarterbacks already on this list that they drafted. All
Zach
of them have been
Wilson.
busts. Exactly, Zach Wilson. So you got 7 quarterbacks right there, Chris, since 2012, 2013.
They're starting to look, be like Cleveland Browns and have that jersey with all the quarterbacks' names on it.
They need to start making that jersey right now, Chris. We'll sign that to start that petition. Get that jersey list. The first one will be Geno Smith and Mark Sanchez, and keep going down that list. And they believe this is the same organization, Chris, that believes so much in Mark Sanchez. They gave him the reins. And how did that work, Mr. Butt Fumble?
It did not.
Exactly.
That was one of the best blooper plays year, probably.
Never forget, but that's the same team that believed in Mark Sanchez. It's the same team that believes in Zach Wilson. Yeah, I want to say I believe in Robert Salah. I don't know if it's him, but it's the Jets, and I'm not sure what's really going to happen this year. They're really in a spot where they're definitely going to be one of the worst teams in the league.
It's a tough week. It's a tough market. I know that. Them and Dallas are one of the top two toughest markets probably. Now they're saying Miami's getting that third wild card with an 11-6 record.
It all depends, though. I mean, their defense is great, but who's like Chris, we both know who's going to be the quarterback? Is it Tua or is it unknown?
I'm guessing Tua. I'm guessing Tua.
Fair
I
enough.
haven't heard anything less.
I mean, if you trade for another quarterback, and not even his second season in the NFL, drafted top 10, what is it? Does that show negative more about Brian Flores, or is it in the organization, or is it more negative on Tua? There's no way Tua is going to put up Jimmy G type 2019 numbers. I'm sorry. Even if you hope improve, let's say, yes, give him a full offseason with the team, with the number one guys at the reps of practice, give him all that. But even if you just ignore the numbers or anything, just look at film. He's not great in the pocket. He overthrows receivers, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm just not too sure how that's going to change in year two, but maybe, I don't know. Just defense is a solid answer, but their offense is probably, I would say, because of Tua, one of the worst in the AFC East.
Now, before we end, I want to circle back to the West, AFC West. And the Raiders being in last place with the 8-9 record. You think John Gruden's on the hot seat?
It's possible because, I mean, they could always find a way to get out of the contract. You shouldn't give him a 10-year contract because as much as I love what Gruden was trying to do, the NFL is trying to make it a more friendly or safe league. Obviously, that hasn't worked out with more and more injuries, but that's what they're trying to do and wanting to do. But John Gruden is trying to make it the old school 2004, 2002. And I love that old school football. The fact of the matter is that's not the NFL anymore, Gruden. And the defense took a deep steep last year. I think they got a new defensive coordinator, but Josh Jacobs coming back. I mean, Max Crosby, Chris, I don't know how deep you watch football, but he had a very rookie 10 sacks. In 2020, the whole defense, I thought Jonathan Ingram coming back, this defense could be really top 12, top 15. But they just took a deep decline as a whole defense as a whole. And I don't think they're really that sold on Derek Carr. If we're being honest, Patrick Mahomes was signed up long term. But again, 2022 draft is terrible for quarterbacks. It's really not that great. So either you get a guy and settle or you pay Carr. I don't trust Gruden at this point. You've had enough time. This is going to be the season where is he a fraudulent coach, or is he just riding the coats of how great that Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense was? That's going to really be the question and the potential answer this year.
And I think Carr is going to have to really play well, even if his team's not going to do that well. He's going to have to put up some impressive numbers to show that he can stick around in Las Vegas.
It sucks, man, because I haven't been obviously to the stadium, but that stadium is one good looking stadium. Just to be a quarterback playing there, I mean think about last year. Derek Carr had a very good year. 4,100 yards, 27 touchdowns, 9 picks. So at some point, I could get maybe 2018. But I don't get the notion of I'll take Derek Carr on my Broncos over Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater. I understand some blame you could put on him, but he had over 100 quarterback rating in 2020, despite Josh Jacobs being out for all, despite the injuries of Henry Ruggs. He's thrown for over 4,000 yards 2018, 2019, and 2020, despite some of the inconsistency at the receiver position, and 27 touchdowns, nearly a career year since 2015 when the former Oakland Raiders made the playoffs. So I think that if they don't succeed, you're right, Chris, he's going to be the cop-out. He's going to be the reason that they're going to put on him. And I think it's unfortunate, man, because he's put up really good numbers. He's thrown for over 12,000 yards the last 3 years. So I don't know what else he could do, but I definitely agree, Chris. He definitely could be the cop-out if the Raiders miss the playoffs.
Yeah, I can see that too. So we reached that hour mark. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. John, you got 45 seconds to a minute to say whatever you want.
It was great to go to my first NFL game in a while. Glad to be here, and I'm just glad football is back, man. It seems like the off season every year goes slower and slower and slower, and there's added days, even though there's not. And I've been dramatic. Glad the football's back. John Elway, I gave you free advice. You could get Aaron Rodgers, Andrew Luck, or potentially Derek Carr. I gave you free options. I'm not asking for money or anything. But I gave you options there. Just listen to Crispy Bacon and us, Crispy Bacon. We're giving you free advice here, so hopefully you actually listen to it for once.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how John Elway does in Denver under a different position. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the morning tailgate. We'll be back next weekend for another edition. Thank you, Big B, for joining us. I know he had to leave earlier, but thank you, and thank you all for listening. And make sure to tune in Between the Ropes tonight at 11 p.m. Central, talking Raw and SmackDown and everything else. So make sure to tune in for that. Make sure to tune in, just on our Facebook page. So with that, I'm Crispy Bacon with John Alcorn, and we'll see you guys next week. Have a great day.